these coppers so that they can be employable in this modern day market. Now, what I did was I approached Abuja, and I sort of approached the NYC myself. I said, look, we can provide digital skills rather than these coppers spending 1 year jumping over ropes and engaging themselves in relationships. They can use that 1 year to equip themselves, whether they study Yoruba, Igbo, medicine, engineering, social sciences, regardless of their course of study.
Yeah.
They can have the digital skills and IT skills that will enable them to compete with graduates around Africa and the world. And what did I get? Yeah, very good. That's a good thing, I was told. But then as soon as I walked out, every effort of mine to approach, I wasn't even asking them for money. I was asking them to provide me with a leverage or an opportunity for me to attend seminars and webinars and symposium for NYC to create awareness. And you see, they know what's good, but as long as they're not going to benefit, and as long as there will be no avenue for them to siphon these millions and billions of dollars, they see it as a no reason, as a no need. And shamefully enough, Nigerians still keep these sort of people, in power. Whether they keep them in power or they rig their ways, they're still there, and they don't see the need to develop anything in the country.
Right, but before I go to
that's my submission.
Awesome. But before we there's a lot of highlights on the chat here, bringing out what we know and what we've been talking about for eons, right? Our challenge is the how. Our challenge is how do we keep the conversation going? How do we come up with the how? If we decide to talk about the failures now, which we've already set the tone from day one, 4 weeks ago, that it's not about the failures now. We have to be able to switch up our mindset from these horrible things that are going on into a mindset of we know we can make things work. We know our intellectual prowess. How do we make this happen, right? If we assume that these guys know what they're doing, then we would not be where we are. The issue now is how do we activate political success? David, can you give us a lead way on how we can activate it? It might be an enabler, like Ty said. This is an enabler by talking is enabling, but is there other forms of how is what we're trying to unlock? And then we can go to Uyi and go through everybody, just see if we can unlock this value before we call it a day. Yeah, so I'll start from
right. Thank you. Yeah. Right, we've been on this forum a few weeks now. I believe that as a collective, if we set tasks for each other and drive that narrative out there, come back together again, see if we've been able to achieve an objective. This is all we need. It has to be the collective acting together. There's no point in us doing it individually because, as you know, collective blocks are stronger than individual blocks. Okay. But we as a collective have to do this together.
In terms of activation, right? Okay, let's go to Uyi then, before we go to Atlanta. Activating success now, right? Nigeria's political success. How do we activate it? David has said it straight. We need to have our own individual task, but what's your take on it?
Change begins from us. Education. And another thing I was thinking of earlier was we have a center of, is it National Orientation Agency, it's called. That should be a propaganda tool for the government to say, this is your country. And I think when this government first came in, there was one I really liked when it was talking about corruption, saying change begins with you and I. So it's talking about don't give bribe to the police officers, don't steal money, because when people steal, it's your money they're stealing. They're stealing money for investment in infrastructure, in hospitals. So I don't know why that stopped. I think that's what we need. I remember the late, NAFDAC woman, when she was in the same agency, she called it good people, great nation. I actually did love that. That's just to give us that bit of confidence that we need. We're the happiest people in the world, regardless of all the problems that we have in front of us. Nigeria was voted, or Nigerians were voted as the happiest people in the world. So that's the kind of propaganda that we need.
Okay, cool. I like that one when you said we need to really give the citizens confidence. That is an enabler right there. I don't think I've seen that in anybody's manifesto. Honestly, I've read a few. I've not seen anybody saying give the people confidence. So nice one. I don't know if Mr. Clement, you want to contribute, or are you just happy to listen in? We're trying to highlight how we can unlock, or rather activate political success. If you just got about a minute, because we're running out of time. So if not, we can always bounce to somebody else. Let's leave it. Can you hear now? No? No, we can't hear you. Sorry. Okay, this goes back to Sandra now. Then we go to Francis, and then back to Deborah. Sandra, if you thanks for your contribution earlier, but we're just looking for like a minute or a sentence that can really classify how we can activate political success as a collective or as an individual.
I think I like the things that's been said so far in terms of education, in terms of collective efforts. What I want to add to that is helping people to understand the cause, the effect, and the action of whatever whatever issue that we have. You know, what is the cause of it? What's the effect of it? And what we're going to do about it? Take, for example, who you mentioned, corruption there. What's the cause of corruption? We need to figure that out. What's the effect of it? People are dying, roads are bad, hospitals, there aren't any facilities there, education is terrible. And what we're going to do about it is the action. So for me, the three things that describe the whole thing that we've been talking about today is cause, effect, and action.
Thank you. That's brilliant. You know, I mean, to be fair, we did 2 weeks ago, we did highlight cause and effect, and we actually had a session on that. It's repeating itself. That means it's a constant factor, and that's brilliant. Francis, in terms of unlocking value, how do we activate? I know you've are well grafted in the political structure of Nigeria, and you do quite a lot on ground. So our question is, please, how do we activate political success? If you can give us a heads up on that, so we can add it to our repository.
Yeah. Yes, Solomon, without the grassroots, we're not going anywhere in Nigeria. We have to activate the grassroots 100%. I agree with what Sandra said about education. Education is key. We have to educate the children. We have to take it back to the grassroots, take it back to the basic. But without white people in government, we're going to enforce these policies. We need policies. We need people in government to enforce the policies. We know what to do, but we need the right people in government. That's why I said, let's go back. We cannot do this without the government. It's impossible. I've been wearing face masks for the past 4 or 5 weeks, but the government just made a law today that you have to wear it when you're going to the supermarket. I believe that myself. So if you want to do things yourself, there's so much you can do. We need the government. We need the right people in government. Okay. I keep saying that. Go back to the grassroots. Grassroots, get the right people there, educate the children so that they can be the future leaders.
Okay, let me catch you up on that one before we move over to Deborah. Francis, you said something that we need the government. That is 100%. We know we need the government, but where we know the government is failing, right? So we're looking away from that thinking. If we were to sit down today and talk about the leadership in Nigeria, come on, for the last 40 years, it has failed drastically. Since 1960, nothing has been right per se, but we are progressing. We know that. So maybe it's time for us as citizens to start saying, how can we help?
Yeah? So we're not progressing because we never had the right government. Until we have the right people in government, we cannot progress. That's why we're having this conversation today.
Okay, cool.
If we had the right people in government, we'll be having this conversation.
So what we are saying is we need proper governance now, not necessarily the government in charge. We need proper governance.
Right people in government.
Okay, cool.
Right people in politics, not government. Right people in politics.
Yeah, politics, because the civil service is a shamble in Nigeria right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about civil service. That wasn't the politician. Yeah. Sorry about that. That wasn't the politician.
I think politics.
Civil servants.
I totally agree.
I think politics.
Yeah, but again, we need right people.
The right people in politics. All right, fair enough. Deborah, do you have a minute for us, please, just to say, hey, look, activation of success, right? In terms of what we've been going through, how do we activate this success, political success, right? Uye said we need the right people in politics. Francis, as I hinted, that we need the right people in government as well, which are all enablers, and we all drive change, right? But we know there's more, and there's more house. So we're trying to unlock this house. How do you think we can activate political success?
You know, whatever every single one of, the panel and the contributors have said, it all contributes. They're all enablers, like you said. Right. But I think for me, the key thing, which I've taken from, I think most people have actually mentioned it, is education. And when I say education, we're going back. I mean, yeah, some people believe that going back to the politicians, we need good people in government. Like I said from the start, we right now, you and I, every single one of us that sat here, we are going to bring about the change because we've come together because we can see it. We want to see change. So we are going to enable this. And so we need to be the ones. I don't know how we influence it. This is probably where we need to now think outside the box.
Yeah.
To influence and bring about the change that we are talking about today, it's through education. And for me, if we're going to have to start thinking about a strategy to achieve this, we need to go back to the young minds, the ones who have not been influenced when you talk about the Nigerian system. So for me, education is what I'm going to go with, but at the same time, bearing in mind that we are the ones to bring about this change. So as leaders, I'm not saying Nigerian politicians as leaders right now. Yeah. We are going to bring about this change, and how we do it is the bridging the gap, like we're doing now. We're having this conversation, but how we strategize is where I think we should go from here, and it will need a lot of thinking outside the box, to have something that is concrete, that is productive in terms of practical measures of doing that.
Excellent. We have a comment. I don't know if you guys have seen it. The last one is exceptionally awesome. So someone is saying we need mass education and orientation for Nigerians to enable people to understand their rights. If you guys were here last week, the guys who were here, we sat on those topics big time. That's what led to us having a part 2 of this. We addressed that. We know there's education missing. That's been a constant factor for the last 3 weeks, right? We're in the process now of saying, okay, activating that political success is the how we're trying to get to. Benga, let's hear from somebody else before we jump to you first.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, of course we can. Thanks. Awesome.
All right. Thank you, Solomon, and thanks everyone for a wonderful contribution. So my take, I've just kind of posted on the chart, is that it needs to start with all of us in this forum, because right here in this forum, we have a multiplier effect.
Yeah.
There are 13 of us here. If we reach 13 other people, by just our simple act of being patriotic and taking that active stance of the narrative that we give. I say this because I was in Nigerian house a week ago, and it was the first time I was ever there to renew my passport. I went in there and I was out in an hour and a half, and I got my passport.
What country are you in?
I'm in UK.
Okay,
I'm
just
in London.
thank you.
Yeah. So, but I have heard stories about what happened there to other people, right? But so when I came out, there was no camera. I couldn't tell anyone how wonderful my experience was, right? So that is a unique story of its own, but you would never hear it. But if someone goes there to destroy property, we will hear it, and everyone will start feeding in their negative narratives. So we Nigerians have that responsibility, and it starts with us in this house. We need to be actively choosing the narrative that we want to put out there. And if it's negative, let's engage with it and understand what is going on, because we are citizens. So that's just my own point. Thank you.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Clement. I knew there was a lot of value there. That's why I was keen to talk to
Thank you. Thank you.
What you said there, it makes perfect sense, because if something horrible happens, a lot of people talk about it. It's like what's happening in Nigeria. But the good stuff we're doing, stuff people do, we don't seem to amplify it. So yes, if there's 13 of us and 13 of us amplify to another person, that's 26, and they do the same. So amplifying our challenge or amplifying our progress, that is an activation point right there for as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much. Right. Let me just go to Demola and see if he's available to add 1 or 2, because we're really out of time, although we started 10 minutes late. So we'll give it another 5 minutes before we take it away. Mr. Demola, are you there, please? If you can just highlight how we activate political success on your level, that would be great. And thanks for joining in.
Yeah, hello, good evening, everyone. This is my first time here, and I'm sorry I came in very late. Also, I was held up on another call. I don't know whether my point might have been discussed previously, but I believe we need a lot of mass education orientation for Nigerians. we have virtually given up on Nigeria. We find out, look at the last week, what has been happening with the Niger Delta Development Commission and the executive coming to defend their budget and expenditure. We find out most Nigerians have turned it into a comedy. You've seen so many things around because really what is happening at NDTC is enough to cause an agitation for people to resign and leave their jobs. But we've all turned into a comedy. You see so many comedy skits going around the internet now. You see, so I feel Nigerians don't know what their rights are. And until collectively we come together and agree, we have that common interest that, okay, look, we're all Nigerians, we deserve better than this, then we'll be able to effect a change in government. We'll stop voting the same set of clueless leaders. These leaders, some of them know what to do, but they're very insensitive. So, but until we come together, know our strength as Nigerians, our rights, I don't think we're going to get it right. So I think as a collective here, the 13 of us, we can reach out to 13 or more others and try and start to educate ourselves. We find that even among the educated Nigerians, some don't even know their rights as a citizen. So you find that educated people are actually laughing at the comedy. So I think that's my take.
Awesome. I mean, that's kind of aligns with what myself and Ty were talking about before, when Ty indicated that, you know what, the leaders, they kind of know. I was under the opinion that some of them might not know. And you're right, because you can see from what has played out, you know, we have more people making more comedy about what the seriousness of what has happened than people actually discussing about it. But that's for another day. Well, thank you very much for that. We really have only about 2-3 minutes. I know we want to push for time, but hey, let's go back to who hasn't spoken in terms of activating success. And then we can just wrap it up nicely with 1 or 2 visions for Nigeria's success story, which is what you would like to call a Nigerian success story. Benga, do you want to pick it up? You had a question.
Because I was a bit anxious to put something forward. Actually, the question you asked, I was thinking that if people have a clear plan, especially those that are in charge, when they have a clear plan of what they wish to do or what they want to do, and they have an interaction with the grassroots, whichever region they are in, they need to engage the people to find out what exactly is their needs. So if the person in charge can work towards that, then you unlock a lot of things. There will be the connection. So interacting, have a clear plan, and at the same time, let's just bear in mind that whoever is in charge might have some challenges, because in Nigeria there's a lot of bureaucracy. So we should understand that even though you want to fix roads, you have the federal roads, you have the state roads. So we should understand that, you know, both the person in charge and the people have to work collectively. And one more point as well, as we are here, I'm not sure if it was Madam Sandra, I call you Madam Sandra, just politeness. She mentioned that with the 13 of us, we can do something. Obviously, we can do something, because when people promise they're going to do something, they don't do it, we can hold them accountable. So when we are holding our people accountable for what they promised to do and they don't do it, they won't have a chance to have a second time, and then we expose them. That's us being collective and doing something.
Awesome. So the focal points of what you said is we need to enhance our engagement, you know, so we need to really unlock it, enhance it, so it can be fruitful, right? Stuff. Okay, that's it really. Mr. Lawyer, can you help us out with the last one if you can, just to say.
I enjoy listening to you guys. Today I just want to listen. So.
Awesome, brilliant. That's perfect. Okay, so you know where we are. We're trying to unlock value, but we've done that. So just to wrap it up, guys, we barely have a minute. Honestly, the key thing is, let's end on a positive note. In, what is your own vision? What is your idea for a foreseen Nigerian success story? I'll start from Sandra. I only need about 2-3 people because we'll barely have 5 minutes, right? So I'll go to Sandra, then I'll bounce back to Uyi, and then bounce back to probably to Ty. I'm sorry, to Demola, because obviously being your first time, so we can just unlock value from you, right? So Sandra, just if you got 1 minute, please. So the last 3 minutes, what is your idea of a foreseen Nigeria success story?
Being the giant of Africa again, brilliant. For real, not just by mouth, for real, in every sense.
It's true.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, when you say again, that means we know where we're coming from, and this is what it is, because we're trying to learn from history. We know we were there before. Thank you very much. Okay.
Just like what Sanjay just said. For me, one nation, one destiny.
Okay. Deborah, do you want to go? What's your ideal success story for Nigeria?
For me, is by us being an example, each and every one of us here.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Demola, we call it a day for us because you gave a very valid point and you said we need mass education. So what would be your ideal success story for in Nigeria?
My dream, my ideal Nigeria is one whereby you are able to achieve your full potential. That means we get rid of that silly quota system, federal character, whatever name you call it, whereby you can achieve every Nigerian, irrespective of where you're born or where you're from, you can achieve your full potential. And I think until we have that in Nigeria, I don't think that will be Nigeria of my dreams.
Thank you. You aligned it with exactly how we started. I know you came in late, but we started off with saying we know we have huge potential, right? So what are we going to do about this huge potential? And obviously, we want to get back to being the giants of Africa, and we want to align this progress. Just to end it, Ty, do you want to end it with your ideal? Because I know how passionate you are about Nigeria. So what is your own foreseen success for Nigeria? And then we can call it a day.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we are all passionate about our home country, regardless of what we do. My ideal Nigeria will be a Nigeria that I can be proud of carrying my passport around the world, without hindrance or any kind of harassment. In Nigeria, where ethnic cleansing is not being aided by the sitting government. In Nigeria, where hunger and they say take out roof and food as a problem of any man, and the problem is solved. A country where we have enough to cater for the whole of West Africa, and yet we live in deprivation, we live in hunger, we live in starvation, and we see the other side, those who rule us live in this kind of affluence. In Nigeria, where you have the right to say something is wrong and you won't be harassed or locked up.
Yeah.
That's my submission.
So technically you're saying in Nigeria with full integrity.
Integrity, quote and unquote. Please, no correlation with integrity with that country until a revolution happens. A revolution that will not be televised.
Fair enough.
The revolution of the mind.
Of the mind, yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, guys, I think you see what we're talking about. This is it. I know we can't do this for an hour. This is why when it comes to this point in time, we always say, okay, look, next week again, we'll revisit stuff that we've not really touched on. We have a few points that even from the previous week, we highlighted this week, and then we push it on from next week. The whole point is continuously unlocking value because we feel that's key. And then somehow, by a reverse engineering process, our leaders get to understand, they get to hear, and they hear our cries from outside, even from inside. So all I can say is thank you, guys. If feel free to do your bit. 13 of us, another 13. It might be somebody else running the show next week. Who knows? Because it's just a call. Yeah. So thank you very much for your time. We can't do more than 1 hour, but thanks a lot. I hope you guys had a great time. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.